Well, welcome to this episode of the Private Aviation Insider's Guide. And I am so blessed today to have Matt Bergwall with me talking about the Cirrus Vision Jet. I've always been fascinated by the Cirrus with the airplane with the parachute because it seemed like such a friendly aircraft to fly. And today we're talking about the next iteration of that, the one that goes a little bit faster. Matt, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Can you tell me how the Vision Jet came about? Like, how did we go from having a piston aircraft with one propeller and a parachute to where we are today with the Vision Jet? I think it's an interesting story for listeners to know.
Absolutely. So the Vision Jet was a design that we started years and years ago. So the main purpose of it was to be a step-up aircraft from our customers who are flying our SR series airplanes, so they can then get into a turbine platform that will go a little higher, go a little faster, be a lot more comfortable with pressurization. So that was really the key design attributes that we used when we designed the Vision Jet.
And how long did it take you from the first talks that you were having about bumping up that aircraft a little bit to when you delivered the first one with certification?
Absolutely. It was been mid-2000s is when we had our initial designs. And we were quite a long ways into the program to about 2008, 2009. And then we slowed down a little bit just with the recession. And then we really kind of boosted efforts again in about 2011 on. And the Vision Jet was certified in December 2016.
And there was also a change in company ownership during that time. How did that affect the aircraft development?
Absolutely. In 2011, the company did change ownership, and that investment is what allowed us to produce the tools that we needed to produce this airplane. It allowed us to kind of do the final phases of our certification program and really allowed us to bring this fantastic airplane to the market.
Matt, can you tell me about the performance of the aircraft? It's the only single engine jet, and I want to know how fast, how high, the range, fuel burn, and how pilots feel about flying a jet with only one engine.
Absolutely. So the Vision Jet, as I mentioned before, was designed to be a step-up aircraft for our customers who are flying high-performance piston airplanes. So one of the core attributes was when we designed this airplane is we wanted to ensure it was an easy airplane for our customers to transition from our SR series airplane to the Vision Jet. At the same time, we wanted to offer them a lot more capabilities. So the airplane will go up to 31,000 feet. It will cruise at about 305 knots in a standard day. It will go about 1,000 nautical miles when you're going at 305 knots, or if you want to pull the power back, you can fly about 12,000 or 1,200 nautical miles. And so it's actually the perfect airplane for our customers, again, to be moving up from the SR series to the Vision Jet, because they can have all those capabilities, but they also will have a larger cabin and also have the comfort of pressurization.
What do you find is the typical mission that your passengers use or your owners use the airplane for?
It's a combination of everything, because we're really very focused on the owner flown market. And our customers buy their airplanes for a variety of reasons. It could be to enhance their businesses, to enhance their personal lives, or they even use it just as an overall, just kind of a corporate tool. So they'll use their airplane to, go to their second homes, visit their grandkids, visit their kids in college, further their businesses, expand their operations, be able to go to different locations. So it's really used for a wide variety of missions. Mainly depends on just what our customers want to do to enhance their lives.
Typically, how far do you see them flying? I know there's a range of they could go 200 miles or they could go 1,000, but what do you typically see them using it for?
Well, about the 500 nautical mile mission is really the sweet spot of the airplane. People use it a lot. I mean, it's about an hour and a half flight. They'll be able to blow the airplane up, fill every single seat, in the airplane with that distances. And we do have 5 adults can fit in the airplane, and also 2 children as well. So it'd be 5 adults and 2 children, so 7 people total in the airplane.
Fantastic. And what's the fuel burn on a 500-mile flight? I'm giving you some math questions today.
Absolutely. For a 500-mile flight, usually what we do for the fuel burns is 80 gallons for the first hour, 70 gallons for the second hour. It's a pretty conservative effort. So right there, you're probably looking at about 120 gallons total for that 500 nautical mile flight.
Very good. Tell me about the pilot workload. This is the same as an SR-22. What's different from a pilot perspective?
It's very similar to the SR-22. So when you look at kind of the ease of use of the airplane and the pilot workload, we actually create the airplane so it is very similar to the SR. So a customer who is used to an SR, flying the SR, they're able to get into this airplane and they feel very familiar with the airplane. Most things are in kind of the same places. Where the autopilot is located, where the control stick is, even the bolsters for the electrical panel is almost exactly the same as it is in the SR. So our customers who are transitioning feel very comfortable with the overall layout of the airplane. Also, we had the advantage of creating this airplane from a clean sheet design, which allowed us to really make for a very simple cockpit, especially with the ages now of touchscreen controllers. We're able to implement the G3000 system from Garmin that we call Perspective Touch Plus. And we're able to just really clean up the cockpit so it's not intimidating at all, but it's something that it's very kind of almost Tesla-like, where there's barely any knobs, barely any buttons, anything that did make its way into the airplane was very purposeful.
Well, your airplanes are known for their parachutes. Is the parachute design different in the Vision Jet than in the SR series?
It is slightly different. So mainly where the parachute's located. So in our SR series airplane, it was located in the tail of the airplane. Main reason why? Well, we have the engine in front. On the Vision Jet, the single turbine FJ33 engine is located in the back of the airplane. So we put the parachute in the nose of the Vision Jet. And probably one of the biggest differences is we're able to incorporate some new technologies into the parachute system that really allows you just to pull that handle kind of regardless of what the situation is, and the airplane will kind of automatically ensure that you're in a safe envelope.
Tell me a little bit more about that. I'm picturing the parachute coming out of the front of the aircraft and covering the nose of the aircraft and my windshield, rendering me in a very serious IFR situation. How does it actually deploy and end up behind the aircraft, slowing you down to safety?
So when you pull the handle, it starts a kind of a series of events. First of all, the airplane will start slowing itself down. It will then deploy the rocket, which will then trigger an airbag that's underneath the parachute that will then deploy or pretty much propel the parachute up above, over the engine, over the tail. And then the rocket will continue on upward, which will then eventually kind of help expand the parachute. So then the whole thing will fall under canopy.
Okay, I'm relieved now. Tell me about the passenger experience in the aircraft, and then we're going to get into a really exciting development that you have that adds to passenger safety. I can't wait for people to hear about this, but in normal circumstances, what does it feel like in the back of a Vision Jet for a passenger?
So when we designed the Vision Jet, we realized that the people who are our customers are either sitting in the left seat of the airplane, or they can also be sitting in the back of the airplane. So regardless of where you're sitting in the airplane, we wanted to make sure everybody had just a panoramic, just a very beautiful 360-degree view of kind of the whole world around them. And so we ended up putting some very big windows into the Vision Jet that if you're the pilot sitting in the left seat, again, you have an unobstructed view of everything around you, or even the passengers sitting in kind of the rear row of the airplane will also have the same view amongst themselves just because of the large windows. Then there is the legroom. So the pilot's seat in the airplane actually slides all the way very far back to be kind of even with the door. And that is actually to allow easy egress for the pilot. But also at that easy egress, you actually have a lot of space between the next row of seats and the the pilot seats and the co-pilot seat. So our passengers end up spreading out their legs. They're able to, there is no obstructions. There's actually almost too much leg room in that airplane.
Well, then you can load all sorts of toys to play with, or an extra dog or something in there, which is always fun when you're using it for personal use. Tell me about this new system that allows passengers to land the plane from the back. This is fascinating to me.
So we just announced that we have, for the first time ever, a passenger can land a Vision Jet if they absolutely have to, by just a press of one button, which is accessible to both the passengers who are in the first row of seats, and also if there's a passenger in the right seat to the co-pilot seat of the airplane. So with the touch of a button, if something ever happens to the pilot, a passenger can press one button. The airplane will then go through a series of calculations to figure out, hey, something's wrong here. We need to land at the most accessible airport as soon as possible. So we'll figure out what runway distances are. We'll figure out what the winds are doing for the given day, what the weather is doing for the given day, and it will actually route the airplane and bring the airplane autonomously to that airport of its choosing to quickly and safely land that airplane. And along the whole process as well, the airplane is actually talking to air traffic control via aircraft frequencies, telling them exactly where they're going, what approach they're shooting. It will be talking to center, it'll be talking to approach, it will even be talking to Unicom, just depending on where that plane is in the phase of flight. It will be talking to everybody on the guard frequency, 121.5. And at the same time, it's also talking digitally with the transponder and squawking an emergency code as well, allowing ATC to pretty much kind of clear the path for that airplane so it can safely land at that airport. And the airplane is also automatically going through getting yourself established on final, putting the gear down, putting the flaps down, flaring the airplane, touching down, bring the airplane to a stop on the runway, and then also giving instructions to the passengers how to open the door.
It's amazing. What if somebody accidentally pushes that button? I know there's never a jokester on board anything you're flying, but there are sometimes.
So a pilot will have an opportunity to disable the system if they must. So if the button's pressed, you have a good about 10 seconds or so to disconnect the system via an autopilot disconnect, and then allowing the pilot to regain control of the airplane.
Well, the reason that this is so exciting to me isn't because a passenger can land an aircraft, because that's a great safety feature. And I think that's adds to people's peace of mind who might be flying in a small plane and aren't super comfortable with flying at all. So I think it's a great feature. But what excites me about this is that we're a step closer now because of your innovation to some sort of autonomous flight in the future. And I think that that's really interesting to where technology is going here in the United States and around the world. I follow this pretty closely. Is that something that you see progressing quickly, or is it something that's going to take a long time?
This is definitely the first step. So having an emergency system that can autonomously land an airplane is definitely the first step, and it kind of allows us to start to pave the way to future autonomous flight. With that being said, hopefully it's going to go fast, but I have a feeling it will be, again, it's going to be a lot of different steps, until we actually get to that point. But we are definitely excited for it, and with Safe Return, is this what we call the system on the Vision Jet. With Safe Return kind of coupled with the parachute system as well, I mean, we really do feel like we have an ultimate safety solution at Cirrus Aircraft that allows a lot of our passengers to feel safe in the airplane, especially when there's only one pilot aboard.
Absolutely. I'm going to switch a little bit and talk more about creature comforts. How much luggage can I take on a Vision Jet?
Boy, you can take actually as much luggage as you possibly want. So one of the things that's really unique about the Vision Jet is its modular design of the seats within the cabin area. So you can, if you only have 2 people on board, you can clear out the rest of those seats by just, it's a simple pull of a lever, take the seat out and just kind of stow it in your hangar. And you can have the whole floor space to put whatever you would ever want to in that airplane. We have customers with mountain bikes, big dog beds for their puppies, for surfboards. Whatever you possibly could think of will fit in that Vision Jet when you take those seats out. Then we also have a space just behind the bulkhead that is unpressurized that will carry, pretty much any bags you would need with passengers on board the airplane. So we have 2 opportunities to carry luggage, both within the cabin and by taking out seats, and then also within the baggage compartment that's in the airplane.
And about how many pounds of luggage could I accommodate in the baggage compartment?
There's 300 pounds that can fit in the baggage compartment.
Okay. Tell me about maintenance on the airplane.
The maintenance, it's, again, we kind of create the airplane for kind of the owner-flown pilot. So we really want to make maintenance just kind of as simple and as turnkey as possible. We do have a great service network. We do have about over 120 service centers within the United States and about 200 throughout the world. And with that, we actually have some dedicated Vision Jet service centers that is constantly growing, that is really there just to kind of do your annual and your phase inspections.
So end of 2019, how many Vision Jets are in operation?
End of 2019, we will have about 175 Vision Jets that will be flying worldwide.
And the majority of those are in the US, I'm assuming, but what other locations are you seeing a concentration?
Yep, majority are in the US. Europe has probably about 15 to 20 airplanes. And we're starting deliveries in Brazil and Australia. And it will have worldwide coverage as we keep on delivering these airplanes. And
who is your biggest customer base? Like what's the profile of the person who's buying a Vision Jet?
Absolutely. So majority of our customers right now are really coming from our SR line of airplanes. It's the owner flown market is really where this airplane has kind of initially been it's being operated in. With that being said, we're starting to see the profile change just a little bit. As I mentioned before, the Vision Jet is perfect for that 500, 600 nautical mile mission. And we're starting to see more and more people with interest in starting Part 135 operations with the airplane, some fractional type services, even air ambulance. So it's kind of interesting to see the different applications that this airplane would fulfill, just because of, honestly, when we built the airplane, we built it for the owner-flown customer. So I think we really, comfort was the first of mind, the ease of use of the airplane, but that really actually translates real well to these other markets.
Well, you mentioned an interesting application in Part 135. Is it light enough to not have to pay federal excise tax on the operations?
It's 6,000 pounds. And again, depending on where, that helps. It does help.
Absolutely. Makes it a little bit cheaper for charter. I love that. Was there anything that I haven't asked you about the Vision Jet that I should?
It's something that everybody has to experience. Just the amount of visibility you have in the airplane, the amount of just the overall flying experience, and just how Cirrus Aircraft had just focused on that experience when we created this airplane really makes it just absolutely phenomenal to fly. The ease of use, the single engine with the parachute. When you're actually training in this airplane and you're trying to transitioning from your SR or whatever your piston airplane to this airplane, just one engine. Think about a type rating. When you're constantly training, you're constantly going out. We're not doing single engine operations. It's in a normal kind of a two engine situation. We just have one engine. So it really simplifies even the training of our airplane. With that being said, we've actually set up quite a campus here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
How's the training on the Vision Jet? Matt, I would assume that it's a little bit easier because there's only one engine. It's shorter, maybe perhaps because you don't have to do the single engine training things that drive everybody crazy. Tell me about what it's like to train for a Vision Jet. How often do I have to go? How long does it take me for my initial if I'm coming out of an SR-22?
Absolutely. So the very first thing we did when we actually were creating the Vision Jet, we were trying to think about what that training experience will be like for all of our customers. And one of the things we actually did in 2016-17 is we opened up a campus in Knoxville, Tennessee, that it was dedicated just to our customers. It is where our training takes place. We have a service center. It's where all the deliveries take place. It's where our customer-facing teams are stationed. All our sales and marketing staff, our service leadership, everybody is kind of in Knoxville, Tennessee that is customer facing. With that, we really focused on the training. We created a facility that has a full motion level D simulator, and it also accompanies by 3 other simulators that are used to aid in the training. Because one of the things we want to make sure we did with our customers is set them up for success as they enter turbine ownership. So when they're transitioning from their whatever airplane they currently are flying, we will actually go out to our customers a year before they're supposed to take delivery of their Vision Jet and fly with them in their airplane, and then just to ensure that they can, are properly prepared to do a type rating. So we'll do instrument approaches, we'll do VOR approaches. When's the last time you did a VOR approach? We'll do circling approaches, and do the things that they can expect on a type rating to start preparing them for when they do take delivery of their airplane. And then about 2 to 3 months prior to their delivery, we'll reach out to them again and give them some avionics specific training with the Perspective Touch Plus. We'll also give them access to some computerized modules to allow them to do self-study. And then they'll come to Knoxville, Tennessee for about 10 to 14 days to complete their flight training and get their type rating in a full motion simulator. And then after that, usually they'll go back home, have a little bit of time to kind of rest, to kind of realize what they just accomplished. And then they'll take delivery of their Vision Jet. And then with our pilot, they'll start going on what we call a victory tour, and just kind of really just explore the United States and really fly the airplane like it was intended to fly.
What a great experience it sounds like that is for people to really become successful and have confidence in the airplane before they're flying their family or their colleagues. And I think that's an exceptional training experience. I'm sure you get good feedback from that.
Absolutely. And just being located in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is very convenient for a lot of our customers, and just the environment that we have here with the city, with the stuff that's available when somebody's going to be coming into town for 10 to 14 days, it ends up allowing us to give them a great experience.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for being on today. You're an amazing director, an amazing speaker about the aircraft. I really appreciate your time talking about the Vision Jet.